Well, hello, and welcome to our Sumo Logic Cloud SIEM live webinar. I'm Dana Torgersen, but I want to give you some quick housekeeping here. This webinar is live and it's being recorded. So I'm going to take some time at the end for any questions that you may have. And while I'm speaking, feel free to click on the Q&A button right there in the webinar window and jot down your question. We'll try to get to as many of your questions as we can at the end. We've allotted 30 minutes for this. Got a little bit of a late start, but I want to ensure that we get you folks back onto your next meeting on time. So with that, when we talk about the cloud scale analytics and automation for security operation professionals, we want to have that conversation, but we have to acknowledge the elephant in the room, and that's that security operations today simply must change. And there's a couple of key reasons for that, and challenges rather. One is going to be with cloud adoption and digital transformation. The fact that cloud migration and the spending is growing at 6 times the pace of general IT spending. And 3 out of 4 security teams agree that their cloud infrastructure generates more security alerts than their old on-prem environments. And the problem here, though, is legacy security tools and SIEMs, they just weren't built for this cloud transformation. And that's resulted in more threat visibility gaps than ever before. Another key piece is that when you're, of course, doing this digital transformation efforts and migrating your workloads to the cloud vendor and provider of your choice, that has then shifted the threat landscape. So this migration has created an explosion of an attack surface. In fact, 67% of security professionals said that the increase that they were experiencing in the number of security alerts that they were having to face with every day stems from new and evolving threats. But 55% of the folks in this survey, they actually blamed the increase on their cloud infrastructure. So that's more than half are saying that this cloud adoption effort, which is good, and especially in this pandemic / post-pandemic world that we're now going to be living in, that's going to be changing and shifting the threats around an awful lot, and you have to have the visibility there. The other challenge on the right is getting into the complexity of tools, the alert fatigue that's created from it, and the fact that it's no longer a human scale problem. And this isn't something that the SOC manager and the SOC directors within your IT organization can just hire their way out of this. We know that cybersecurity skills are in high demand and they're in short supply. According to ISC Square's latest reporting and others, I think it was 3.2, or now it might be up to 4 million jobs unfilled globally by 2022. So again, I always like to say, if you've got sons and daughters that are out there looking for jobs, get them into security, because this is really where the help is needed most. So it's with these challenges that we realize that you need to modernize your security operations and do so with the Cloud SIEM. And that's probably why you're here today. You wanted to see more about Sumo Logic's Cloud SIEM. Well, our Cloud SIEM is completely different than maybe what you're accustomed to. And I want to show today in the live demonstration these different elements, and just want to key off on a couple of these here. So I'm kind of setting your expectations of what to be looking for and what to be thinking of as I go through the user interface. Top of mind, top in our hearts is what we're doing on behalf of security analysts around the globe. And that's automatically generating actionable insights. And we're not just prioritizing alerts and moving around for you. We're actually doing the manual workflows that are normally what is being done in the trade craft of security analysts. And we're helping to automate those processes. And we're automatically enriching the data that you need, which is critical for investigations and response. We're enriching it with user context and network context and metadata coming in with a couple of other capabilities that we have that are included in the product. In the top center here, multi-tenant dynamic scalability, that's speaking to the fact that everything I'm about to show you, we're cloud native, running natively in AWS for the last 10 years since our inception. And with that, it gives us the power, the scalability, and the elasticity for any scale at any time of day, and then for all users. Speaking of users, that kind of dovetails to the upper right-hand corner here. This is a platform you're about to see, which is for all teams. This isn't just a SIEM for a couple of guys and gals in a fishbowl, in the SOC team. This is a platform that's extensible and usable by IT ops and DevOps, other branches and lines of business across your organization. Sumo Logic does not charge per user fees or any of that additional licensing. So really, the more the merrier. To know that we're able to provide this ability for all of your employees and all of your administrators to be able to be working off the same data set that you've ingested, might as well ingest it once, and have this huge data lake to be able to work off of and pull queries off of. And as we're talking about today, actually perform security analytics and correlation of threats. Lower left-hand corner, that's talking about the marrying together of this, what we're known for at Sumo Logic, which is our full query capability, with the this modern approach with a modern security interface, which I think is going to be quite evident for you folks, and the workflows that come with that, so that you're able to stay in one persona-driven user interface, which is what I'm going to be showing you today, or you can always pivot and go deeper into any of the data that you want to find more information on, especially in your investigative processes. Cloud native collection and detection, we kill at this because we are in the cloud and for the cloud. But that doesn't stop us from all the capabilities of bringing in data, regardless of where it lives. And that's both your on-premises data, hybrid data, multi-cloud, whatever it may be. And the last one on the right here, just rapid time to value, getting you up and quickly. We've got the content rich right out of the box, all the correlation rules to get you started, all fully customizable that you'll see, allowing you to not just ingest the data that you need, but to make sense of that data and do so in this platform, which, as I said earlier, up above it is for everybody to use, but it's intuitive and it removes the complexity that is normally a stigma around working with SIEM solutions. Now, I've been talking about Cloud SIEM. You're attending this Cloud SIEM solution. I just wanted to highlight that Sumo Logic also has a couple of other solutions. If this is more your pace or more what you're needing right now in your organization or interested in learning more about, and that's audit and compliance and also security analytics, going deeper with the data, using our pre-built dashboards that are included and the applications that we have in our app catalog that helps you adjust data, but also have pre-built dashboards, pre-built queries to be able to search for what you need and get up and running quickly, along with threat intelligence feed and global intelligence service, which is a baselining of all Sumo Logic customers and what type of threats are they seeing, anonymized, of course, relative to the threats that now we're seeing in your own environment as well. So let's focus on the right-hand side here. And to do so, I want to walk you through a day in the life of a security analyst using Sumo Logic as you go from records to signals to insights. So I've got a live environment right here. And as you see, while I'm talking, it's going to keep auto loading. There's no need to, I don't have to hit the refresh button or space bar or anything like that. I get a timestamp up in the other upper left-hand corner here that it is today. It is April 1st, 2021. And I'm seeing initially, previously I was in here and I chose an 8-hour view. And this 8-hour view is now 8 hours worth of data that's come through. And this is a entire screen is called our heads up display screen. And a lot of our customers love this and actually choose to put it up on their SOC walls too, so that everybody can see and be on the same page at any given time. And it's great too, because if you want to change the time span, maybe push it out to 24 hours of data. As you can see, the data is dynamically changing around the entire heads up display. So let's walk you through what's happening here. This is a funnel of fidelity that's happening sideways. It's taking in all your structured and unstructured data, and we're normalizing it and parsing that and turning it into records. It looks like in the last 24 hours, we've pulled in 11 million. And that's up 5% from the previous 24-hour period. Now, of those records, we're looking through that information that we're trying to fire signals using our out-of-the-box content that I spoke of earlier. And it looks like we've now generated 87,000 signals going down into this. And by clicking on that, it's actually driving me right to my signals page right now. But let me go back here. I wanted to keep on the storyline here of explaining to you how we've gone from records to signals, 87,000 signals in the last 24 hours, which is actually up 1% in the last 24-hour period. This is where a lot of the traditional and legacy security solutions stop. This is where even some so-called next-gen SIEM solutions stop. They've given a bunch of alerts, and they're telling you to go further, go on your own. Well, Sumo Logic took a different approach, and we wanted to be able to help automate that process and eliminate the noise and help mitigate alert fatigue that we know is still present in so many organizations and SOCs today. So we're actually looking at those signals over a period of time, 2 weeks by default, all the way back up to 30 days, looking back to find the steel thread of what connects these signals together. They're all keyed off of an entity. An entity could be an IP address, could be a username, could be a host name, and that entity is how we're combining signals and using technology that we've got for adaptive signal clustering to cluster signals together to find what is meaningfully going on. It really becomes our opinionated view of a critical incident that you need to address immediately. And that's what we're communicating to your SOC analyst, is by giving them what we call insights. And in the 24-hour period that I'm talking about here, 11 million records came in, 85,000 signals fired, and we said, you've got six key things you better take a look at right now. And we show those to you in the form of these triangles. And the triangles in the center in our insight radar, which your eyes are probably gravitationally drawn to, these triangles are keyed off in different colors. Red indicating it's a new insight. Nobody's seen it yet, or at least is not working on it or has touched it yet. Orange, yellow color indicates that it is in progress. Somebody has actively taken ownership and or has moved it in the Kanban board view, which I can show you in a bit here, to say that, yes, I'm working on this. And this is how you collaborate your entire SOC organization together. And this is what it looks like to modernize your SOC processes. First of all, of course, understand that there's a problem, and that's these insights, making sure that everybody knows about the problem. That's your team collaborating together. And then being able to track the progress of the working of these insights. Effectively, you'll want to turn these from red to orangish yellow to green. And sometimes they'll be white. White indicates that it's in that other category, which is a customized category as part of your workflows. And we can get into that in a second. Down the left-hand side, you might have caught that we've got different metrics here. We've got metrics that are showing detection times, which is the amount of time from when that first activity was observed and then when that insight was actually fired off, and we actually created these triangles on the map in the time span that you're looking at here. So it looks like we've got a 5-day detection time. Okay, that's good. We obviously want to get that lower as quick as we can, but that's currently what it was, what the system is measuring and telling me. It looks like we have a 32-minute response time. That's the time from when the insight was created by us at Sumo for you, and then that status was changed to in progress. So this is your team's response time, 32 minutes. Hey, that's great. Could it be lower? I'm sure it could. Could it be longer? It might be, but this is all part of then the security and maturity of your organization too. We understand that some organizations might not have the staff to even be thinking along these lines of modernized security operations and the processes and the workflows that go with it. And we get that. That's why maybe this is going, our Cloud SIEM solution might be maybe a little bit too much, but that doesn't stop you from actually using just a core Sumo Logic platform, our continuous intelligence platform, to be able to utilize our dashboards and our queries and monitor and be able to troubleshoot for alerts as they come through. You just wouldn't be getting this automation and the correlation and the analytics that we're showing off today. This last piece here, the remediation time, is of course telling you how long it takes to actually close out the insight and respond to that, thereby making them go to green. And you can see in a glance here, this is great, almost gamification, if you will. So SOC managers, directors, even the CISOs could pop his or her head in and actually see that, okay, we've got a bunch that are created. How many are we closing? We want to see them close. We want to see these wheels turning into a lot more greens here. So this is really the quick at a glance. When you're a SOC analyst, a day in the life is that you would be probably living here in your insights page. And there's two ways of looking at it. I mentioned before that there's this board view where you almost have a Kanban or Scrum style of your Post-its on the wall. Well, here is your ticket for the new insights that have come through. Ones that somebody are working in progress. It looks like Dan's working on this one. Spec Ops team. This is part of that customized coloring, which then turns the insights white on the previous page. So this just is an alert that, okay, we have our Spec Ops service, which is an optional service of threat hunters that Sumo Logic offers. And it looks like we can have different insights tossed over to them. And then they know that this is their swim lane to work in. And that's what they're doing for you. They're a force multiplier for your existing team. Or maybe you've got different tiers, tier 2, tier 3, incident response. This board could go off to the right to mimic and mirror exactly how your current workflows are. So it's absolutely customizable. Other customers prefer the table view. That's great, to each their own. We gave this flexibility to adhere to different people's styles of work and how they progress through these insights. This is great too, because you're seeing it in the categorization line by line. You can actually see a little baseball card style view here with a heat map indicating the different signals that fired and the severity of those different signals. Then there is the process of actually going through an insight. So I'm Dana Torgersen. I want to start working on an insight. I see that Dan's got some of these in progress. Maybe I'll take Insight 2469, exfiltration with credential access. It's unassigned. Let's get it. So here I am. I've selected it. Say it's 7 a.m. on a Monday morning. My shift has started. I'm at my terminal here. I'm in the SOC, if you didn't already know. And what I'm greeted with are all the details that make up this one insight. And again, an insight is our opinionated view of a critical incident that's happening. And we're looking back at data 2 weeks to 30 days back, not just 24 hours or 48 hours like some solutions out there. And we're showing you visually what's happening in this timeline view. And the different shapes and colors, which helps combat anybody that might have difficulty in discerning different colors. So that's why we came up with the concept of shapes. Blue diamonds here are indicating signals that were created because of rules that were in place. It looks like there's 4 of those here. We also have anomaly-based rules that would show up as this little teal green teardrop shape. We've got purple pentagons for any threat intelligence rules that are fired. And we've got orange or yellow squares for any third-party intelligence feeds that you're bringing in data, which would help create a signal, and that signal would be clustered, and that's telling the story for this insight. Now, the insight, the tactics and the techniques or the procedures used in this particular potential threat is exfiltration with credential access. It looks like there was some exfiltration discovered and some credential access. And this might sound familiar because we're actually mapping our signals. Every signal gets mapped to the MITRE ATT&CK framework. And this helps you in that processing in your mind as to where this particular piece might be in the attack cycle or the kill chain as it's going through. So it looks like it started out with an AWS guard duty alert. As you can see, I hovered over this signal that fired and I can learn about it. But I'm also, as I'm highlighting that, I'm highlighting my list right down below here. So I can scroll through here as well, and I can change the order, the view of how I'm seeing these signals. I could even manually add a signal too, if I feel that there's a piece of data that I've got that actually helps contribute to the story. So if I've got on 4/20/2021, 9:45 p.m., an AWS guard duty alert, looks like it triggered. It was unauthorized access, an IAM user. There was an instance of credential exfiltration. I can click on this signal and I can learn more about just the signal. So as you can see, I'm working backwards now. Sumo Logic, we took the records and created signals and then determined insights. Now I'm in an insight. I'm working backwards to look at the signals to discern, like, well, why did Sumo Logic feel this is bad? What's happening here? And I can see a whole description here of what this particular signal was, the severity level. I can even see the rule that triggered it. So if I just kind of step out of the talk track here and explain to you what a rule looks like, with one click, I'm drilling down into the rule content. I mentioned that we've got a lot of rules. I believe it's north of 600 rules now that are these correlation rules built in and included in the product, which are fully customizable. So they're curated, they're managed by Sumo Logic, but you could always clone a rule, turn off the managed one, which is done by Sumo Logic, and from then on, use your own version of that rule that you've created. And I can see when that rule is triggering and creating insights. And in a normal production environment, you'd probably have a bunch of blank fields with just one colored box indicating when that signal is happening here. Obviously, I'm repeating this signal here for the purposes of demonstrations. But the rule is very simple with the rule editor, showing if it's triggered, what would the expression be, or what is the item that you're actually going to be looking for in the rule. Then go do this. Well, you're going to create a signal, create it based off of the entity, give it this name. There's opportunity to have a summary here and then a full description. And then the severity rating. Is it dynamic or is it going to be static, where you could actually pin it and say, this is worth a 3 or this is worth a 5. Why the numbers matter, the severity, is because to generate an insight, we're looking across the entities and we're looking back 2 weeks or 30 days and we're aggregating a score, this threshold that's going to be achieved or not. And we're basing it on the rule content severity score, which sometimes is a direct correlation to whatever the severity level was of this signal that was being passed through from your CrowdStrike or from your Carbon Black or from your Palo Alto Networks firewalls. And we're looking at that and combining all those scores together to see if it hit that threshold or not, and therefore triggering an insight. So this is just a quick run through of how these rules are created and how you can see the history of the rule and start having some accountability and tracing to see which of your users and your SOC analysts, your security engineers have been maybe changing the rules or modifying them. and what insights have been created based on that rule too. So I'll go back here and back it up just a second. I can also see then the exact record or records that made up that one particular signal. In this case here, it looks like I had one record, and I'm seeing all the information of it. I can see the device. I even see the little American flag in the background silk screened in there, indicating that we've done a geo-IP based on where that IP address is coming from. The ingest source, the various extracted fields, and what mapped for that particular thing. Again, we're giving you a lot of detail here, which is the great context you need for investigative processes. But in the day in the life of a security analyst, you might not want to spend that much time on it, but the data is here if you need it. The main point is that you're able to go through and understand all these signals that made up this insight. And if you agree that, yes, this was not great, AWS guard duty alert was triggering, then I had a rare global intelligence service guard duty alert that came across. There was an instance credential exfiltration that happened. Okay, that was a list match against other cloud administrators. Interesting. AWS guard duty alert. Looks like it was a pen test from somebody using Kali Linux. Okay, that's not great either. It has a severity aggregated score of 2. So as you can see, we're adding up the scores. 5 and 1 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. And then here comes the death blow. AWS guard duty alert. Behavior in EC2, the traffic volume was unusual. That was definitely something to get the hair in the back of the neck standing up. That had a severity score of 8. 8 plus 8 is 16. It surpassed the threshold of 12. That's why this insight was created. So in the process, you can go deeper and investigate all of these, or you can just say, I got it, let's take action on it. Now, our actions can be automated and triggered automatically when the insight was created, or after the fact, I have these on-demand actions that are here at my disposal. By clicking actions on this one insight, I could take action with recorded future, do a notification through AWS, maybe work with a SOAR vendor that I've already invested heavily in, Microsoft Teams, emailing folks, Slacking them, or using some of the cool integration and automation features that are present in Slack with different macro scripts that you could write. Waking folks up with PagerDuty and ServiceNow, integrating bidirectionally with ServiceNow and creating tickets. And this is just to move it on, to keep the momentum of the investigation going. But when I know that I've addressed it, we've responded to the particular threat, and we've squashed it, now it's time to close the insight. And once you close an insight, you're greeted with the what is the resolution? And there's different types of selections here. It was just straight up resolved. Maybe it was a false positive. Perhaps no action was needed for whatever reason, and you can actually make comments on why that is, or duplicative. Sometimes an insight might keep duplicating if the source material just keeps firing the same, like good examples of a laptop just keeps getting reinfected, and the team just they keep flattening it, but for whatever reason, the user keeps picking up something either through a drive-by download or some other means. It might generate that same insight over in time again. So I can add my comments here. And then go ahead and close out that insight. I'll just skip that for now. So this is a quick walkthrough of the day in the life is because after this, and I've closed this insight, as an analyst, it's right back into the fray. And the beauty of this event management or insight management here is that everybody's on the same page. My entire team, I can see who's working on which. I got Stephen here working on this item here with the username Rico Dynamite. Apparently there's some exfiltration happening there. A bunch of different types of attacks that can be happening. And this is just a small sampling of what we're offering. So that is a quick run through of it. But it's not just about the features and the bells and the whistles, but it's also the people. And it's the support that we can offer when you need it most. And that comes in the form of professional services for onboarding to get you started, premium support, which of course takes you day to day through the usage of the solution. But I did mention Spec Ops. That's our special operations team. This is our mission-focused threat hunting team, built of a team across the globe of these elite cybersecurity experts. And that's kind of the tip of the pyramid. They act as a force multiplier to, if you've got a large organization, they help you get even bigger, because we know how hard it is to find and acquire new talent, or talent that has the experience that you want, especially when it comes to elite threat hunting activities. And a smaller organization, well, that can be a no-brainer. I mean, now you have 1 or 2 analysts on your team, and you wish you had 3 or 4. Now you have this ability to bring in these folks that can back you up and support you working in your data. So that's that's the prepared content. If you had any questions, you can feel free to actually grab this QR code with your phone while I'm talking here if you want to get any of the information on our Cloud SIEM offering. And that should take you right to our page there. So let's take a quick look for any questions. And I do want to remind folks that yes, we're going to have a recording of this webinar will be posted and made available to you after the show today. Okay. Is Cloud SIEM a separate product? Okay. Okay, good question. The solution is available as it's a combination actually. You take our Sumo Logic core platform, and we have our Cloud SIEM Enterprise add-on. If you feel that that's appropriate for you to get what I was showing you with this user interface and the SOC analytics and automation features. And so that's the combined Cloud SIEM product. And so that's just want to make sure that you understood that. Another question here, how long does it usually take to deploy? That's a good point. I mentioned that we've got this out of the box content that's ready to go and get you up and running quickly. What we've done is we've made it possible to see the customers being able to start ingesting their data. We get the environment set up within hours. They're ingesting data the same day, and they're getting into a full production ready environment in weeks. And it's no longer measured in months or quarters, and it's not having to engage these heavy, lengthy, and costly professional services engagements just to be able to get up and running, let alone tuning rules and stuff all from scratch or heavily modifying rules that come with it. So it's rapid time to value to get folks up and running. Another question here. Oh, can we have test instances to see how it works? That's a great point. Yeah, we have the ability to, you can work with one of our sales engineers. They can give you another demonstration, but ultimately, we want to make sure that folks can get their hands on the product, and you can get your hands on the core Sumo Logic platform by filling out, it's everywhere across our website to request a trial environment. It's very simple and straightforward. We've got so much documentation to arm you and get you up and running quickly. Along with, I probably failed to mention this before, but we've got a lot of free certification courses, the courses and the ability to sit for and take the 1 or 2 hour certification test to get you trained on various aspects of the fundamentals and the mastery of Sumo Logic for search mastery, as well as security and compliance and going deeper with the product in those use cases. Well, that's it. I realize I've gone 3 minutes over, folks. As questions keep coming in, we'll be able to follow up with them offline. And so if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I'm Dana Torgersen, Director of Product Marketing here at Sumo Logic. But if you want to get started today, reach out to our sales team. They're easy to get a hold of. It's sales@sumologic.com. With that, thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you at our upcoming events.